Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday.
And welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party. My name is Mother Banjo, one of your hosts.
My name is Anthony Ihrig, the other host.
And today we have joining us from Cape Cod, Monica Rizzio.
Hello. Oh.
And we know Memorial Day weekend is probably the kickoff of the madness where you live, being more of a tourist destination.
It's unbelievable. The bridge is backed up. Yes, it's very backed up.
Well, luckily for this hour, you can just sit, kick back with us and enjoy a happy hour. We're so excited to have you here to kick off our holiday weekend. And it looks like Wiley got here even before we did. So Wiley, first one at the party, joining us from the East Coast and Virginia, and Alan joining in from the Americana capital of the world, Green, Texas. And
right.
I love Green, Texas.
I know you're a Texas native, right, Monica?
I am. Yeah.
Yes, you know.
It's a great place.
Hi, Connie. And I also,
Connie.
Before Alan joined, one of our regulars joined us with a G&T, and I have to say, you're in good company, Alan. I have a G&T today because it's summertime. Even in Minnesota, it's summertime.
Official kickoff, right? Memorial Day weekend.
That's right.
Yeah.
And looks like, we have Matt joining us from Urbana with a Bell's Oberon. Good choice. And then Chris from Savage, Minnesota. Ooh, he has a really summery beer.
Whoa.
Raspberry Kolsch style beer.
Nice.
Oh, well, good for you.
Yeah. So, Tony, are you enjoying any special beverage?
I'm going back to Sierra Nevada Brewing Company for a hazy little thing IPA in my back catalog listening party pint glass.
The only way to enjoy a beer. And
tastes so good.
And Monica, I know you're joining us from your school where you teach, so you're probably not having a more fun festive beverage right now.
I don't have a fun beverage right now, but I am going to hit the local watering hole across the street after, called the Land Ho, and I'm going to go get me some tequila. Nice. Kick off the weekend.
That sounds perfect.
That's awesome. And another Cape Cod resident here, Leah, listening in from Cape Cod.
One of my best friends.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Welcome.
Well, if you are new to the Back Catalog Listening Party, this is the show where we invite different guest artists to revisit old records. We listen to tunes together, talk about them, and it's meant to be just a good old-fashioned happy hour. So feel free to tell us where you're tuned in from, if you're enjoying a beverage or a snack, as Christy is joining us from Cambridge, Minnesota.
Hey, Christy.
With some kombucha and her dad, Kermit. All right.
Excellent.
So we are so happy to have Monica here joining us today. And Monica, for those out there listening who maybe are less familiar with your music, maybe you could give the brief 2-minute origin story of where you grew up. Well, we know Texas, but how you fell into making music and where the album that we're going to talk about today fits into that.
Yeah. Well, I've kind of always, been into music from the time I was really, really young. I grew up on a farm in East Texas, and, it was kind of a blessing in disguise. There wasn't much to do growing up except riding horses and, writing songs and singing. And so that's kind of where it all started for me. And then fast forward quite a bit, and I moved to Nashville. I got my degree in music from Belmont, and, just really kind of honed in on my craft and was really inspired by some incredible songwriters and musicians. And then I washed ashore to Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And I've been here since 2005, and I love it. I love being here. So
excellent.
And and that watch the Sunshine is Free record was basically inspired by me wanting to get back down to Nashville and co-write with a bunch of my friends and just kind of make a whole record with people really admire.
Nice. So, yeah, and that's the record we're going to revisit today. Again, it came out in 2019. Sunshine is Free. And Judith says, woohoo, can't wait to hear you, Monica. Well, we're going to fix that, Judith, right now. And the first track that you picked to feature on today's show is called Nothing. Is there anything you want to say about it before we take a listen?
Yeah, this song was, it was a song that I wrote with my producer, and a friend by the name of Gwen Sebastian. She's a songwriter down in Nashville, but she's also a background singer in the Miranda Lambert band. And we were sitting around, if you've never done a Nashville co-write, it's usually a 3 hour, type of ordeal. And, it was kind of funny. My producer, Michael, was like, let's just write a song about nothing. And I'm like, yeah, but like what? And he's like, no, just about nothing. And I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds incredible. Let's write a song about nothing. And so this was kind of for me, like, shortly thereafter COVID hit and the world shut down. And little did we know that a lot of us would be doing nothing, right? Like we would have that downtime that we all dreamed about having. So that's what this one's about.
Downtime. I remember.
Downtime. Yeah.
I remember it fondly.
We didn't have downtime. I didn't have any downtime.
Well, guess what, everybody? It's our downtime. It's listening to music with friends. There's no place in the world I'd rather be than right now listening to Monica Rizzio, Nothing, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Don't take no cigarette break. It goes on and on and on, and it'll always be. We try our best to keep up at the expense of the ones we love. This fast pace, it sure does faze me. And I feel a little guilty when I want to be lazy. Why is it so hard? Why we gotta always be running? Go ahead, exhale and take a deep breath. Everyone could use a day of rest. Baby, ain't it something when you're doing nothing? The only race I wanna run is a fridge to the couch TV marathon at the remote control for the fireplace. May think I've crossed the line. I'll just pour another glass of wine. So sip on this, I don't care what they say. I've got a date with old Hemingway. Why is it so hard to do nothing? Why we gotta always be running? Go ahead, exhale and take a deep breath. Everyone could use a day of rest. So hard to do nothing. Why we gotta always be running? Go ahead, exhale and take a deep breath. Go ahead and rest. Why is it so hard to do nothing? Why we gotta always be running? Go ahead, exhale and take a deep breath. Everyone could use a day of rest. 'Cause baby, ain't it something when you're doing nothing?
All right, Monica Rizzio.
Oh,
with nothing. And I have to say, that's feeling pretty resonant, I think, with a lot of us here.
Yes.
Especially, I mean, at the end of every week, we kind of feel that a bit. But I have to say, I'm really looking forward to Weekend of Nothing on this Memorial Day weekend. It looks like other folks are too. John says, safely on the Cape, looking forward to Weekend of Nothing.
John Kilroy, yeah.
And Andrea joining us. And thank you all for joining us here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. Again, this is our weekly happy hour where we invite different guest artists to revisit old records. Today, we are revisiting Monica's 2019 album, Sunshine is Free. And as you mentioned, when you were introducing the song, that song, well, the album came out in 2019. You didn't know how prophetic it would be. It's one of those things, you know, be careful what you wish for, right? Because we were doing a whole lot of nothing, you know, 4 years ago, and that's why Tony and I started this show, was because we weren't picking so much banjo at that time, were we, Tony?
No, but also, you know, there was something about just listening to music, right? And I think, you know, that there is something to be said about that. It's not something we fit into our everyday lives. And so we're so happy that everybody out there is doing nothing but listening to Monica's music for this hour.
Yes. And I love that you mentioned, you know, taking, you know, talking about being armed with Hemingway and like having a book with you. And I have to say, I'm kind of curious about your reading habits. Like when I know this might have just been like, oh, I wish I could just sit at home with a book. But when you are traveling, do you travel with books or, you know, like a Kindle or something with you? Or is that something you're like, no, I have to wait till I get home to have any hope of doing that?
Yeah, it's definitely, I'm gonna have to wait till I get home before I can do anything like that. Yeah, especially when I'm on the road, you know, sometimes, I mean, you're driving so much, you're in the van, you know, for very long hours that a lot of times I'm a pretty like crazy podcast junkie. I do love podcasts. Or, you know, I just try to write music, like, you know, record voice memos or stuff like that, you know, and it's also a good opportunity for me to be able to really listen through records, like from start to finish. You know, I love that opportunity, the open road.
Hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we are big fans of the album format here on the Back Catalog Listening Party, and that's obviously a big part of this show is,
love it.
And for folks who don't know, when we invite artists to be on the show, we basically just invite artists we love, and then the artist picks the album and the songs that we feature. So if you're wondering about that, these are all Monica's picks. So yeah, tell us about why this was the album that you wanted to feature today, and when you wrote it, did you know that these songs were going to be part of like an album? You said you went to Nashville to write. Did you know this would all be part of the same project, or are you just trying to write?
Yeah. When I went down to Nashville, you know, the whole intent was to go back down, you know, where I kind of got the bug for songwriting, really. I mean, of course, I dabbled in it when I was younger, and, you know, I'd write songs here and there. But I think it was being in Nashville where I really, really learned the craft of songwriting. You know, at the time I was just influenced by so many phenomenal songwriters that were in town. And, you know, there was a really cool open mic that happened down at 12th and Porter, and Daniel Tashin was the host. And, you know, many of you may know Daniel Tashin as being one of the masterminds behind all the KC Musgrave records and songwriting. And, you know, so it was really cool at the time. You know, Mindy Smith, who's a good friend, she was always on stage doing open mics, and Hillary Lindsay, who's a, you know, part of the Love Junkies with Lori McKenna and Liz Rose, like she was up doing songs. So it was such a cool time when I was living there. And so when I was thinking about coming up for, you know, what I wanted my second record to be, I was like, you know, I think I just want to get back down to Nashville and write with some of my friends and, you know, meet new songwriters that, you know, maybe they could introduce me to. And so that this record was, all of these songs were, that was the intent to put on the record. You know, there's obviously a few that didn't make the cut. And I felt like maybe it wasn't the right project for them. You know, some of them have already been recorded that are just sitting, you know, sitting on my computer.
Just waiting for their chance to
waiting for their chance. Yeah. Yeah. And
So-
things got pretty weird during COVID too, which we can talk about that later. If you want to ask me what got weird, I can tell you about that too.
Oh, now we want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we want to know. But I was just curious, like how it felt going back. Like you had been there, and then you moved to Cape Cod.
Yeah.
And was that experience of going back after having kind of removed yourself from that place,
Yeah.
moving to this totally other place, and then coming back? Did that influence the writing on this record?
It did. And I will say that it was quite an emotional experience for me to go back. You know, I went back in my I guess, late 30s. I moved to Nashville even before I was 20, so I
Mm-hmm.
kind of felt like I was kind of a kid, like, and it was a different town than it is now. I mean, there are surrounding towns that weren't even there at the time. They didn't even exist. And so, yeah, I think going back there, influenced a lot of like those songs, and kind of thinking about like what it was like when I was there in my 19, 20 age range,
Mm-hmm.
and then what it was like now being a grown adult.
Excellent.
Well, we are so excited to have this music and to have you with us, joining us today. And the next track you picked to feature from Sunshine is Free is the title track. And one of the things that I saw, it was in some review, I think it was Americana Highways, about this record, was that they're like, so many country records are about like, or Americana albums are like digging into people's sadness and like this tragic thing, and they're like, this album is refreshingly sunny, and
I love that.
and I was like, I was like pretty excited having this gloomy weather. I was like, oh, we're gonna get the sunshine with Monica today.
Love it.
But this is really just such a wonderful track. Is there anything you want to say about this song, or what went into the writing of this one?
Yeah, so I wrote this one with my producer, Michael Rennie, and then Aaron Radier, who's a pretty, hot Nashville songwriter, and we just kind of wanted to, the whole theme for that day was really kind of relaxing. Sometimes you go into a songwriting session and it's kind of awkward, it's like, it's
like a blind date.
Yeah. And that was kind of a joke. I'm like, yeah, so I feel like, the three of us are on this date and we're going out. Like, what do we want to do? Like, what do we want to write about? And it was just a real, I remember it being a beautiful day. It was in December when I had went down. I think it was like my second trip back for songwriting. And it was just a beautiful sunny day in Nashville. And we had the windows open and we just kind of felt like, hey, Sunshine's free. This is like that kept coming up, like that. Aaron kept saying that phrase, he's like, oh, he had this like black book of just lyrics, and anything that went into his mind, he would write down. And that was kind of the idea of it, just wanting it to be really free and simple and, just easy.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Well, another perfect song here for this Memorial Day weekend episode of the Back Catalog Listening Party. And I'm sure it was the music, but the sun is now out here in the Twin Cities.
Yay!
Peeking through, and I have 100% it's convinced that it's due to this music we're listening today. This is Monica Rizzio, Sunshine is Free, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Sunshine is free, music is too. You can head to the country where the skies are blue. Build a fire on a beach, it don't cost no money if your pockets are empty. Sunshine is free. $100 blue jeans, $50 steak. Gonna make myself happy, whatever it takes. Take myself to the movies and get a big popcorn. Put a smile on my face, no worries no more. Sunshine is free, music is too. You can head to the country, get lost in the mood. Build a fire on a beach, it don't cost no money if your pockets are empty. Sunshine is free. Only so many days, only so many nights. Time makes you wonder if you're doing it right. Are you taking any chances? Or just taking it easy? Let the wind take your troubles, blowing them all away. Sunshine is free, music is too. You can head to the country where the skies are blue, or build a fire on a beach. It don't cost no money if your pockets are empty. Sunshine is free, music is too. You can head to the country, get lost in the moon, or build a fire on a beach. It don't cost no money if your pockets are empty. Sunshine is free, or build a fire on a beach. It don't cost no money if your pockets are empty. Sunshine is free.
Oh, I'll have to wait for those last bass notes.
That's
That
right.
was Monica Rizzio with Sunshine is Free, the title track to her 2019 album, which we are revisiting today with Monica joining us from her, not her home, well, her hometown of in Cape Cod. Yeah, Connie says fun song. And then Christy said, Dad asleep with a smile on his face. And I have to say,
I love it.
I don't know how you'd fall asleep though to that banger.
I bet you
feel
he's
like
dreaming about all kinds of great
yeah,
stuff right now.
bonfires on the beach and the whole deal. And I have
Oh.
to say, when I was listening to that song, I was like, yeah, this is like the ultimate kind of summer anthem, actually. So I'm going to declare, even though this is, people always like to spotlight the new stuff for like their summer playlists. I think this needs to be on everyone's summer playlist. Because,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I'm feeling it. And I can see like when this album, I don't know when in 2019 it came out, but I'm sure you were planning on 2020 of like touring behind it and stuff. And then the pandemic hit. But I have to say this song feels actually also appropriate for those times because I mean, it's true all the time. Sunshine is free. And there's obviously ways to enjoy life without spending a lot of money. But in 2020, we were not spending much money, and there were a lot of things we couldn't go out, and even if we wanted to buy a $50 steak, it was hard. You'd have to get us takeout, and it never tastes as good.
No.
And certainly not movies and all that stuff. So, I was just reminded that it's not only free; it's like it's always accessible. Even when we were shut down, we were allowed to go outside and be outside, and that I don't know. There's something really special about that. But I want to know how things got weird for you during the pandemic. We have to revisit this.
Yeah. So after all the touring got canceled, I was out with Raul Malo from the Mavericks. Our last show was at the Space in Evanston, Illinois.
Oh yeah.
And remember there was like a dude in the audience that was just like coughing the whole time.
Oh.
And I remember afterwards we were like, well, I guess we'll find out, hopefully this like virus thing is not too serious. Right. And I remember I flew back to Boston and like 3 days later, the whole world shut down. Right. So it was, all my touring was canceled multiple times. And honestly, I kind of just felt like a little, like my fire was kind of getting low, like I was kind of, I wasn't very inspired to write my artist music, right? Because I was doing so much, I run a nonprofit, I started a nonprofit. So we were raising money for local musicians who had lost all their gigs. And, and also, I was teaching quite a bit of students on Zoom trying to figure out how to do all this. So my creative juice was kind of like limited at that point. And I decided that it would be fun to do something that, I just had never done. And so I wrote music for film and TV. And I wrote a lot of pop and EDM tracks.
Oh, nice.
So I have about 15 tracks that have been recorded that have not been released. And only my really, really close friends have heard it. I've gotten a few sync placements on TV, on Temptation Island and Love Is Blind. So you can hear it on that, but it's kind of funny because part of me wants to release these tracks, right? Like, but I'm kind of like, do I come up with a moniker name? Like, do I come up with like a fake name? Like,
actually, it could just be moniker.
It could be moniker, right?
Boy.
I know.
Oh boy.
Sorry.
So I don't know. I'm just kind of like, what do I do? But it was so much fun to write this music with. I wrote with a girl in Spain, and I became like instant soulmates with this girl in Colorado, and we wrote a bunch of music, and people were producing it in Paris and mixing it in Italy. So it's just like, it was so cool, and it was so liberating to write lyrics that didn't really have to mean anything to me. Like one of our lyrics, I think, was like fuzzy colored, fuzzy rainbow or something like that, like candied apple, clouds or something. Like, it was just like, whatever, so fun. And I think that looking back now, like, because I'm still listening to some of these tracks that I did, some of them I think would be great, like Peloton, ad, or like an Apple ad, like something really fun. That would allow me to go on the road and tour as an Americana folk musician.
Well, but, you should get them out there. I know. They'll pick them up.
Yeah.
Part of me just kind of thinks, maybe I'm just going to release this stuff, right? Like, I don't know.
Do it.
If Taylor Swift can release like different genres of music, I feel like, the music business nowadays, it's like, it's so, I don't know. There's no rules anymore, or right. I'm not following the rules anymore.
I think it's post-genre. So, I think we're in the post-genre era, and I think it's A-okay to release, your EDM record or whatever it is.
Right. My pop music, my pop and EDM track.
Well, and also we just want to hear it.
Yeah, exactly. It might be a little selfish.
Just between you, us, and the internet, the whole internet out there.
I love it.
Speaking of music and production stuff, I do want to circle back to that last track, because I was really enjoying just all the interplay with the different guitars that were going on. I heard like in one ear I was hearing one guitar, another one I was hearing another thing. I was hearing some great baritone guitar and all kinds of really fun stuff. And I'd just love to know a little bit about who was playing on the record, maybe where it was recorded, and a little bit of how the recording process came together.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's a whole, job in itself, trying to figure out where you're going to record your next record, right? So I visited tons of studios in Nashville, and I picked the tiniest, coziest one that I could find that was not pretentious, and I just felt so comfortable.
Nice.
Recording at a place in East Nashville called Skinny Elephant. Isn't that a pun? Skinny Elephant. And this guy named Dylan was the engineer, and it was wonderful. We brought in Will Kimbrough, who's an incredible guitar player. He did a lot of guitar. He did some mandolin. He played some harmonica. And then Joe Casipia, who's another local cat out there. He did some, baritone and other guitar stuff. But the boys had a really fun time in the studio with that, like, going back and forth. They had a blast.
And did you just let them go? Did you have any direction on that kind of stuff? Do you get into that?
No,
into the weeds at all?
I let those guys kind of do their thing,
nice.
Like what they heard, and we obviously chatted about it here and there, but like more guitars, right? Like, we need more guitars.
Yeah, well, I had to say the banjo caught my ear too. Yeah. So nothing wrong with a little banjo.
Nothing wrong with some banjo.
A lot of stuff happening. And you said you picked one of the, a really cozy, comfortable space. But when you say cozy, like, were you able to record a lot? Obviously, the guitars were able to do it somewhat live together. That's easier when they're electric. But with the acoustic instruments, were you able to track anything live, or did you kind of,
The whole thing was tracked live.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I mean, we did overdubs and stuff like that, but yeah, it was a very like comforting, cozy little studio. I think the where Dylan was engineering the whole thing, there was like a little couch, and I was kind of perched on the couch, like looking through the glass, Yeah, it was pretty cool. Cool time to do it.
It sounds fantastic. And
well, thank you.
This is probably a good time as any. We're about halfway through our show to let people know that you can hear the full resolution versions of these songs. You're what you're getting on YouTube right now. You're missing a few ones and zeros. And Monica said that she's got a whole shipment of new product coming. And
yes, I do. And I have
people...
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
Anthony.
no, please tell us.
Okay.
How do we get our mitts on some of this stuff?
Yeah, so I have Sunshine is Free and Wash Ashore Cowgirl coming to my doorstep next week because I am going out to play the Blue Ox Festival. So I thought, hey, people still buy CDs, right? Hopefully, we'll see. And then
our crowd does.
Yeah, well, touring with Tom Rush, his entire fan base does. So it's been good there, but. And I've got my Sunshine is Free on vinyl, which is my favorite way to listen to records, like listening to an album. So I'll be bringing all of that along, with me. But, if people want to, they can buy it directly on my website. I just noticed that I must have taken my store down. But the beautiful thing about my store online, which is the same at my shows, is I let people pay whatever they want to pay. For my records. So if somebody wants to, PayPal or Venmo or send me an email and, hey, can I, ship me some music here? I'll write you a little note and be very appreciative for supporting me because I really couldn't have made either record without my fans, really. I mean, it was fully funded by them and I couldn't have asked for, better people to back the record. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And again, we put the PayPal and Venmo both in the comments and it's scrolling on the screen, so you can throw something in Monica's tip jar. But again, if you throw in a little extra and your address, she can send you a copy of that album. And I will say, I'm excited that you have it in vinyl format because when I saw the cover of this album and of course hearing the actual audio on the tracks, it seems meant for vinyl. Like, and even that cover has such a classic kind of like
portrait
60s 70s kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, it does have it's funny, my mom's I believe on here listening and she's like, I don't like your cover, and I said, why not? She's like, well, you don't look happy and your album Sunshine is Free, you should be smiling and being happy. But I want people to know I was really happy during this painting. When the lady was painting me, I was very happy.
But you know what? It's also, if you're sitting for a portrait, if anyone's ever had to do this, you can't smile. That's why all those like 19th century paintings, people look depressed because they can't smile for that long, for hours at a time.
Mother Banjo, you couldn't have said it better. I tried to smile, and after like 20 minutes, my lips were, I was like, okay, we got to do a new pose, like just make the background like blue and fun and like colorful. But
so tell us about who the artist is that painted your portrait.
Yeah, her name is Sally Vince, and she lives on Cape Cod, but she's originally from the UK. So it was very endearing for her to talk to me in that like sexy British voice. Can you I had a little bit, and but she's lovely, and she was a trooper. Like we just had a blast, like working together, and I just wanted something a little bit different, And
in the background, I mean, obviously you said you did this in Cape Cod. It has, kind of that Cape Cod vibe in the background with the ocean. I mean, that's what it looks like. I don't know if that was intended, but
kind of foggy.
Yeah,
Cape Cod's kind of foggy.
I'm liking the colors coming around your hat there.
Glow. Yeah.
The halo. The halo, right?
Yeah.
No angel, but yeah.
Well, again, you can get the vinyl, the CD if you PayPal or Venmo Monica some dough. And we recommend that you do that. Also, we got a question from Alan asking from down in Texas saying, still touring, how much band do you bring along? And this is relevant because you, as you mentioned, you're coming to Blue Ox Music Festival on Friday, June 28th, but then you have a bunch of other tour dates coming up, which people can find out about at your website. But how much band are you bringing along? I'm sure it's different runs, but
Yeah, it's different for different runs. Mainly because after COVID, touring got so stinking expensive and it's just ridiculous. And so, festivals only have so much of a budget, right? Here and there. But I am so excited that I'm bringing my guitar player, Brian Miller, who was on this chat. Um, and yeah, he's a fantastic guitar player and does a lot of singing, singing. And so, yeah, he'll be driving out with me for that festival, and then I'm gonna have some friends join me because I have so many friends that are playing that festival, and we'll see who's going to be around on Friday at 12:30 to join me, but I know that Adam Gruel from the High Hawks will be popping on stage with me,
Nice.
and I've got some other text into friends, and they're just waiting to find out when they're arriving. So should be a good time. But Alan, I hope to come, back to Texas and play. That Gruen Hall is amazing. By the
Yeah,
way.
he lives steps away.
Oh,
No joke.
Yeah.
He keeps inviting us. I think he's invited every guest who's been on Back Catalog.
Alan, it's going to happen. We're all going to come.
All of a sudden, everyone's going to come
Yes.
stay with him. And if you play there at the hall, then we'll all come down. And
there you go.
Stay,
Oh my
and
God,
it'll just be a huge party.
Yeah, Alan,
Back up the bus.
did you see the Mavericks play there? Because I know Raul played there with his band. I'm not sure if you went to that show, but that would have been pretty cool.
And Karen mentioned earlier that when you were talking about the show at the Space, that Karen said that was when she said we had a last cocktail together. I'm assuming she meant right before the shutdown. And yeah, so
yes, she was there, and I think one of the dudes from the Hen House Prowlers. Yeah,
nice.
One of those guys came out, and it was bizarre because when I went back. After the show, I took an Uber, and the guy who picked me up was that guy's dad, the guy in the band.
No way.
His dad was Ubering, and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing here tonight?" I'm like, "Oh, I just played a show at the Space." He's like, "Oh, my son's in a bluegrass band." I'm like, "No way, what's his name?" And I was like, "I just had a cocktail with your son at the Space." That's so bizarre, right? Like all the Uber drivers in like the Chicago suburbs, like
especially because if it was Nashville, it wouldn't be surprising if it was like a songwriter or like a guitar player. I think. Anyway.
And I'd like to mention Hen House Prowlers, former Back Catalog guests. A wonderful episode.
They're awesome.
We'll put a link to that in our show notes for this episode too.
Yeah. And getting back to the vinyl thing for just one quick minute before you dive into the next song. When you, I don't know if you released it at the same time on vinyl as CD and digital, but did you have to, I was just reminded of this because we were recently re-listening to our episode with Robbie Folks, and the album we were revisiting, he had to totally change the order of the tracks because he got rid of like one song to make it fit. And then, the whole like Jenga puzzle falls apart and you have to kind of sometimes rethink the whole thing. Did you have that issue, or were you able to kind of keep the same track order and the same number of songs on the vinyl version?
I luckily was able to keep the track order, which was amazing. It was like, oh, thank you so much. And I encourage all of you listeners out there, the streaming platforms are great. They're good for what they are. But as an artist and a songwriter, we may put so much time into thinking about what we want the sequence of our records to be and how we want our listeners to listen to a record, that when someone buys a vinyl, it just like melts my heart. Because I think for me, like my buddies at High Hawks just came out with the vinyl, and they sent me a copy, and you learn so much about like the songs and why did they place them there. It's like there's something so beautiful about that. But I was very happy I didn't have to resequence. That took up a lot of time.
An album is an album, right? Like a photo album. I think one of our past guests talked about that, and it does. You tell the story through the sequences, and it's something that I think gets lost, but we cherish here on the Back Catalog. We believe in the album format.
Yes, you're my people.
And Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think we're both trying to highlight the same comment at the same time. Joni, one of our back catalog regulars, says albums are stories. Yeah, you have to listen to this the story the artist is telling, and I wholeheartedly agree. And we should point out that today's because we asked the artists to pick the album and the 4 or 5 tracks that we get to feature on the show. Sometimes they get reordered because, again, when they're taken out of the album context, you have to kind of, sometimes people want to put them in a different order, and depending on how the stories fit together. But the tracks that you chose today they're not, obviously it's not the complete album, but they are in album order, interestingly enough. So everything we've heard, So Nothing, Sunshine is Free, and this next track is The Shire. Of course, my mind goes to Lord of the Rings. I don't know if that is the intention or not, but what do you want to say about this song?
Yeah, well, I can I can admit that I haven't seen Lord of the Rings yet, and it's on my to-do list, but that's going to take up a big chunk of time to watch that.
You need another pandemic for that.
I know. Yeah.
Or Memorial Day weekend. I mean, you said you're laying low, so.
I know, but it's so beautiful out. I've got to get to the beach. It's so nice. The Shire was a concept that I came up with for, going to that place in your life that makes you really happy. Let's go back to the Shire, and for me, it's like being away from it all. That's why I love living on the Cape. 9 months out of the year, it's gotten busier, but there's still like a quietness about it that I really love, but this song was it was a really phenomenal co-write. I wrote this one with my husband, Pete, who's not a songwriter at all, but he's a phenomenal creative writer. And we drank, copious amounts of red wine. And when I was writing for this record, I rented a really cool cabin in the woods, and it had like a beautiful little creek that ran through the property. And I just remember like drinking red wine and having my guitar and just being like, wow, I never want to leave here. Like this is a Shire. Like this is what makes me happy. Playing music festivals makes me happy. Teaching makes me happy. Music makes me happy. And so this was the whole concept for this song.
I love it. And this is my happy place here every Friday afternoon. And if it's yours too, make sure you jump in the comments and tell Monica how much you appreciate her music. And if you have any questions, we'll try to get to all of them before the end of the hour. But for now, let's go to our happy place. Monica Rizzio, The Shire, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Woke up in the Shire with the sun through the pines. The birds, they were singing, someday you'll be fine. And the creek will keep running, just easing my mind. Down the mountainside, sweet as my wine. Nor'easter winter has blown down my mind. Lost my anchor at the end of my line. Sell my fiddle for a nickel, or maybe a dime. I set sail for the Shire on an outgoing tide. Oh, take me to the mountains, oh, take me a little higher. Head for the Shire, where the sun's a little brighter. Thunder in the valley and the creek's on the rise. Let's make some mountain music tonight. Woke up in the evening with the stars in my eyes. A cold air is breathing, not a worry inside. There's a voice that keeps singing in the back of my mind. Gonna stay in the Shire for the rest of my life. Oh, take me to the mountains, oh, take me a little higher. Head for the Shire, where the sun's a little brighter. Thunder in the valley and the creeks on the rise. Let's make some mountain music tonight. Woke up in the Shire with the sun through the pines. The birds, they were singing, someday you'll be fine. And the creek will keep running, just easing my mind. Down the mountainside, sweet as my wine. Oh, take me to the mountains, oh, take me a little higher. Head for the Shire, where the sun's a little brighter. Thunder in the valley, creeks on the rise. Let's make some mountain music tonight. Let's make some mountain music tonight.
All right. I went to the Shire right there in my mind.
Oh, good.
That was Monica Rizzio here on the back catalog listening party from her 2019 album Sunshine is Free, which we are revisiting today with Monica joining us from Cape Cod. And I have to say, this album couldn't have been more perfect for this Memorial Day weekend. It's like for a lot of us, it's a little bit of a break, and it's maybe a chance to get off to a cabin. Certainly in Minnesota, that's often people's preferred method, going to the beach or the creek or the cabin. All those things.
Sunshine is free.
Yep, exactly. And and I would say that this album would make a great soundtrack to wherever you are going this weekend. So again, you can pick up that album. Obviously, you can find it in the streaming places, but do throw something in her tip jar because people might think music is free. And although it's available free to listen to, it's not free to make. So, you know, artists have bills like the rest of us. And
one CD purchase is like, you know, 10,000 streams. Right, exactly. And, you know, so every little bit helps. So we've got the information about her tip jar, PayPal, and Venmo in the comments. Monica mentioned that her store might be down right now on her website, but you can just throw your address and pay what you want, as much as you got. Send it her way. Let her know how much you appreciate what she's doing and that you want to hear more music.
Excellent. And another thing I want to mention is that, Monica, you have, in addition to all your tour dates and your music on your website, you also have a Substack, and which is basically a kind of longer form newsletter. Is there anything you want to tell people about that?
Yeah, I joined Substack just recently, and I really, really love it. I love the opportunity that I get to have with, you know, people on that platform, but also it's been really great. It's, you know, it's another way for me to just like share what I'm up to, you know, like what I'm doing on the road. And, you know, obviously you can sign up for free. It's just like a newsletter, but, you know, if you want to support me, you can also, you know, sign up for a monthly subscription, or, you know, you can do something for the whole year as well. And for my paid subscribers, I do like fun little behind the scenes, you know, like I went on, I did some dates with Sierra Hull. So we made like some little videos of us like, what we did, our pre-show rituals, and and what Raul and I were doing. We were just, it was just super fun, like just to like give my listeners a chance to see like, hey, this is what I'm up to, this is life on the road, this is like what it's like, and also finding out from everybody, like, what do you want to see, some people are like, we just want to see like what happens like before you come out on stage, like what are you guys doing, so I made a video of that, like this whole ritual of Sierra's bass player making espresso, and we chatted through the whole thing, and it was just super fun. We were playing like music, pretending it was like a little like show, like ooh, just being totally just kind of just ridiculous, which
excellent.
is what you got to do.
So you can sign up for the Substack on her website, monicarizio.com. We also have the direct link on scrolling on the screen and in the comments. And by the way, I have to say, I can hear you have your window open where you are, and I can hear the birds. It's just amazing. I love that.
I know.
And I love that, or the peepers or whatever's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
There. And I have to say that this is what makes this hour so special. It's not. It's the music, it's the conversation, it's the fact that we do get a window into your home or your school in this case, and where you live, and we love getting everyone else's comments and questions. So if you have anything else you want to know about Monica or her music, then throw it in the comments. We're gonna squeeze in at least one more song here.
And real quick though, while we're talking about Monica's stuff, I have a passion for music education, and so does Monica. And so I really wanted to make sure we were able to highlight her music school, which you can also get from her website. But we have a direct link we'll put in the comments. Wash Ashore Music. Monica, is there anything you want to tell people about your mission here?
Yeah, as much as I love performing, I love educating people about music, especially roots music, Americana music. And I find that when I was younger, if I didn't have somebody that was able to support me I never had the means to take private lessons, and that's why I came up with Vinegrass, which is a whole nother story for another time, which is a nonprofit that you guys can check out, vinegrass.org. We do a big music festival. But yeah, it's just been so great to introduce music to all ages on Cape Cod, and I have a wonderful group of teachers that also have a passion for it. And, I tell these parents, because a lot of these kids are so busy with sports and whatnot, say music's something you can do for a lifetime, it's like when you're 70 and you can play fiddle or play guitar, it's just, music's magical. It's therapeutic,
Amen.
And I feel happy to do it.
Well, we if you're in that area, the Cape Cod area, we put the link to Wash Ashore Music in the comments, and we're just producing the next crop of songwriters over there. We sure appreciate that.
Yeah.
And we also want to mention that we will have also all these links, including some of the photos that we shared on the screen. If you were just listening to the show and not watching the YouTube video, we'll have all of that as part of the show notes. We archive all of our shows with, again, the list of the tracks, special links, all that kind of insidery stuff, which you can get when you go to backcataloglisteningparty.com. And speaking of getting special stuff, first, we do want to thank our Patreon supporters, and these are the folks that have kept this show going for the last 4 years. We are gonna get to that last song, but I want to make sure we thank these folks.
Yeah, for sure.
Because these are the folks that make it happen. They're the folks that have those great back catalog listening party pint glasses. They're the ones that get the special inside scoop of who's coming on the show. They get special after parties. We have a special one coming up next week. If you want to learn all about it, you can join our Patreon. But we want to thank those that are already on board: Penny, Anna, Linda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Alan, Chris, Alex, Becky, Peggy, Joe, Jim, Beverly, John, Fred, Tim, Sarah, David, Jocelyn, Matt, Steve, Mark, Homestead Pick and Parlor, Severin, Lynn, Mary, Many Tracks, Nikki, Joni, David, CJ, Wiley, Stephanie, Christy, Diane, Hetty, and maybe you, if you want to join our Patreon. We would love to have you. And Alan says, wait, what? 4 years? Yeah, I don't know where they went.
I know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Kind of crazy, but
it's a lot of episodes. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, 211, and we appreciate all of you. And if you're tuning in for the first time, just thanks for being here, supporting an independent musician like Monica. Like, it means so much to us, and it helps spread the word, about Monica's music and what she's doing.
That's right. And we want to get one more song. So the last song that we're going to feature today is The Real McCoy. Is there anything you want to tell us about this?
This song was just about trying to find the real deal. My real cowboy, which I found. Took me a while, but I found him.
Awesome. All right, let's give it a spin. This is Monica Rizzio, The Real McCoy, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
I've been up all night thinking about what went wrong, all that we did, all the days come and gone, have left me high and dry, oh, enough to write a country song. Call me Scarlet, call me Jane, call me what you want. You may have bought me pretty things, but you can't buy my love. You need to take the time to understand this heart of mine, it don't come secondhand. Don't want to dine on Fridays with martinis and champagne, with a wannabe cowboy, just one to play his game, getting flowers and perfume, the kind that come from fancy stores. I'm looking for an old school cowboy. Give me the real McCoy. I've had enough excuses about how you'll get it right. I'm thinking I could sure get used to the strong and silent type who can keep me warm when I get cold and knows just what to do without being told. Don't want to dine on Fridays with martinis and champagne, with a wannabe cowboy, just one to play his game. Don't need flowers and perfume, the kind that come from fancy stores. I'm looking for an old school cowboy. Give me the real McCoy. I'd be lying to say I'm ready. Should real love come to town? But I'm tending to my fences, and when he rides my way, it's gonna feel like sunshine after dancing in the rain. It's gonna feel like flying. I let go of all that weight, and I won't miss the diamonds, I won't miss the champagne, that imitation cowboy. I got the real McCoy. Oh, I found the real McCoy.
Monica Rizzio, The Real McCoy. And I have to say, Monica, you're the real McCoy. This has been so awesome. What
Sure
a
has.
wonderful chat.
Thank
The
you,
music's
guys.
so good. Again, we've been revisiting her 2019 album, Sunshine is Free. And you want to get your hands on this album, go to monicarizio.com, throw something in her tip jar, get a copy of the vinyl, the CD, and check her out live. She'll be touring with a guitar player and coming to our neck of the woods, Blue Ox Music Festival.
Yeah.
in Eau Claire, Wisconsin on Friday, June 28th. I should say that Tony will be there teaching a banjo workshop too.
Yeah.
And a lot of
we'll do it.
And Sierra Hull, is Sierra Hull this year? No, Molly Tuttle's there, and so many great artists and a lot of
Sam Bush, Dale McCurry Band,
and of course the host band, Sandstone. It's going to be great. So there's that happening, but you can also check out all of her dates. And I hear that you might be playing with Tom Rush at the end of the summer too, right?
I am. Yeah, we're going to Southern California.
Nice.
Going to go down to Southern California together. Yeah.
Great.
It's going to be fantastic.
And folks loving the music.
Yeah.
And I agree. This has been such a treat. It's what I needed to get rid of my work stuff for the week and put on my vacation hat and enjoy the sunshine. So thank you so much for joining us. If you all liked it as much as you're saying you're liking it, then you want to give it the thumbs up on YouTube. You want to direct more bots to Monica. You also, and if you like the show and you're new to the show, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do this every Friday at 4 p.m. Central, and not with Monica every week, sadly, but with other great guests. And next week, we have Jamie Harris joining us, which we're pretty excited about. So that will be a lot of fun. And Patty says, always love to hear you sing. Love from Texas. So wherever you're tuned in from, whether it's Texas or Virginia or Minnesota, wherever you're tuned in, thank you for joining us. This is my favorite hour of the week. Happiest hour.
Mine too. And thanks to wonderful independent musicians like Monica. Monica, thank you again for being here.
Cheers. Thank you all so much thank you for having me. And thank you. I can't wait to have a beer with y'all at Blue Ox.
Let's do it. I think my workshop ends right before your set, so I'm going to be there with bells on. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you next week here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. Cheers.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye.